In this corner, standing at 6'5", weight class unknown, but hailing from the city of sin, put your hands together for Jamieson Welsh. And in this corner, standing at 5'10", weighing in at pounds, and coming to us from his super secret bunker with no AC in Tucson, Arizona, put your hands together for Luis Montemayor.
Thank you. Welcome back to another episode of the Mixed Company Podcast. Of course, I'm one half of the show, Jamieson, and as always, I'm joined by Luis, and together we bring you Mixed Company Podcast. Luis, it's been a minute, man. How's everything going? What's new? All that good stuff.
Oh, man, Jamieson, I am so glad to be here recording on our first show of October, officially the start of spooky season, my favorite time of the year. Are you a fan of Halloween, horror movies, all that stuff?
I am not a Halloween person. I don't mind scary movies. I don't really get scared a lot, but I don't mind it. But I'm not a Halloween person. I'm not a costume person or anything like that. So, but I enjoy it from afar. I'm just not like let's go to a Halloween party or haunted houses. Not quite my thing, but I'm here in spirit though.
Perfect to be here in spirit for Halloween. I love scary movies. That's honestly my favorite part is all the decorations and stuff. I don't get dressed up either. You know, when I do go out, I just wear a suit. But I just love the vibe. I love the ambiance. I love the creativity in costumes. It was still one of my favorite costumes from back when I was in college. It was a bunch of frat guys. One guy, there was like 8 guys dressed like chickens, and one guy up front dressed like Colonel Sanders, rolling in a group.
Where'd you go to college at?
Where didn't I go to college? I went to college at ASU. In Tempe, Pima Community College in Tucson, University of Arizona in Tucson, just to get a worthless political science degree.
How was ASU?
ASU was, how about this? I would have had a lot more fun if I were of age and had any friends.
Fair enough.
I moved from Texas to Arizona and didn't know anybody, and I feel like I kind of missed out on a lot of the college experience. Plus, I had to work my way through college, so I didn't have a lot of free time. So, going to school full time.
Same. Similar story, but Vegas. So I understand.
Yeah, but no, I mean, I think when I moved to Tucson, I ended up making more friends, getting out more. Ended up meeting our producer Jabari Davis when I was 21. So let's just say he and I had a great time in my early 20s, in his mid 20s. Nice. So I didn't need the college scene to have fun. I guess if you get my drift.
Fair enough.
But anyway, we got a lot to talk about today, so let's dive right in. We usually get to the news first, so let me flip through the Boxing Gazette, which is the finest news source in the boxing world. This issue of the Boxing Gazette actually is brought to you by Delightful Smoke Shop and Apparel in Tucson, Arizona. So our first sponsor, you can find them at 6217 East 22nd Street. They're open 7 days a week, so stop by for lots of goodies and hoodies. So thanks a lot to Delightful Smoke Shop. The show's getting some attention. I think once I was the only guy pretty much in boxing media to say that Bud Crawford was going to win that Canelo fight. I think people are starting to perk their ears up, honestly.
Hope so. We got sponsors now. We moving on up. But no, that's cool. And honestly, like looking back at you were spot on Canelo in terms of the slow decline of Canelo. The way you described him. Looking back on it, I'm surprised we were not more adamant about Crawford winning that fight. I think we were shocked that he would win on decision. I think that was the biggest thing because of the cards were closed. So I mean, going around 11, the fight was basically tied, and it wasn't tied. Like, it wasn't. But,
right.
Looking back on it, it's like, yeah, you were really spot on your decline because most people don't understand boxers decline when they're still winning. The only time you mention a boxer decline is when they're getting knocked out or they're getting blown out in fights. When you're still winning, you're winning pretty impressively. The common person doesn't understand the slippage of a boxer until they get exposed, and that didn't happen until last month. So no, you were definitely spot on about that.
Yes, but also let's not forget, the episode before that fight, I straight up said Bud Crawford by decision. So, and a lot of people were giving it to Canelo. I to be fair, I went back and forth for months and months. Mm-hmm. But really, when it came down to it, I put my chips on Bud, and I was right. And speaking of which, I actually wanted to start this segment with him. because Bud Crawford's coach Bernie Davis said that Bud will return for the ring only if he gets offered $100 million payday. So supposedly he wants everyone to fight for undisputed at 160, and then Bud would take that fight. We've praised the man a lot. We've said that he's underrated, hasn't gotten the respect he deserves, and I'm sure he got a really big payday from this Canelo fight, well earned. Do we think he could pull off another $100 million payday on his next fight? I don't think so. You tell me.
So the only way he could get $100 million on the next fight if you're rematching Canelo, there's no $100 million fight out there. Like, that's the thing. He would have to. And here's the thing: I don't really want to see that fight happen again. But if they ran it back, I'm watching. So if he wants to make $100 million, which I understand, because remember, Bud's getting up there in age.
Right.
So with that being said, there's not a whole lot more fights left. This last payday was very good. He's probably set for life. I think he got 50 plus with this fight. Normally, even with the kids, they're all by one woman, except for this last one that kind of came out the blue. No judgment here. He should be set for life. Getting another 100, I understand it. Get it while you can, because I don't know who else he could fight to get that kind of money. Like, there's no one else out there outside of Canelo. So I'm cool for running it back in May. I get it, but there's no $100 million fight. There's no boots. There's no one. There's no one at 160. There's no one at 160 he could fight. No, there's no draw. There's no one that brings the casual boxing fan out at 160 to even get anywhere close. I mean, getting 50 million is a tall task. 100 million. All right, think about all the fights that have drawn 100 million over the last 20 years. Floyd and Pacquiao, Floyd and McGregor, Canelo and Triple G didn't do those numbers. They did good numbers. They didn't do this. And then, of course, this past fight. Those aren't. You got to have two superstars. You can't have one superstar and a boxing guy. It don't work. You got to have two people to where their whole country is talking about the fight, not just sports fans. So yeah, there's no way. Yeah, no, hell no. There's no way.
Yeah, I mean, his trainer was saying, and to be fair, it's his coach, not Bud himself, but he's saying, well, Bud doesn't really have anything else to prove. If he's going to come back, it's got to be for that size of payday. So the implication there is Bud's ready to go. He's ready to dip. And how would you feel about that? I think, yeah, his legacy is security. He's undefeated. He beat the face of boxing in a very, very clear way. It wasn't one of those like, well, he probably got a gift decision or whatever people say. I mean, if he does decide to bail, how do we feel about it?
He's not bailing, but at the same time, Bud has never been the A side of a big fight. Even the fight versus Spence, even though he was a better boxer and he was a more healthier fighter for sure, he was not the A side going into it. Spence's name and brand was bigger. Now, better boxer, totally different conversation, but the brand, what sold the fight, who made the fight, who got the biggest percentage, that was Spence. Obviously, going to this fight, Canelo got the bigger of the percentage of the pot. He was the A side. Crawford has not been the A side of a mega fight. The next fight he fights, he will be. Even if him and Canelo do a 50-50 split, it would be both, it'd be in their both best interest to do something like that. But if he wants to make big money, he has to run the Canelo thing back. That's the only way.
Right. I mean, I don't want him to retire, but I don't think he will, because what I said after the mega fight was that his cachet is higher than ever. So many more people know his name, know his skills more than anything. You can know his name, but you might not have known, what he looks like in the ring. Very impressive performance. So I don't know. I can't see him not taking this cachet out for a spin and see what it can do. Yeah, not 100 M's. There's no way. But I was interested in why his coach brought that up and said that's the condition.
I'll tell you why. I'm gonna tell you why. Because everybody made the biggest bag they ever made a month ago. That's why. Everybody, whatever check they got or whatever agreement they had, from the trainers to the corner to the doctors to the nutrition, whoever's on payroll had a very, very great day that Monday when the check clears. So that's why everybody's talking about 100 million, because they want one more, because they also know what it is now. I don't get people's finances, but Bud lives a simple life, so I don't see him going broke. But all these other people, Hell, if they can get one more big payday, they're gonna take it too. If they can get a 6-figure check in their name, they're gonna go at it. So I get it. I understand 100%.
So I agree with you. Yeah, I totally agree with. I guess you're right. I mean, you get a little taste, and you're like, damn, I want some more.
Like, I'll do you one better. I know someone who was involved in Tyson Fury's camp. I can't get out his name, but he's involved in some way, shape, and form. The amount of money he was getting paid just to be a part of the camp was enough to basically chill for like several years if he chose to do so. So that's why you hear people be like, "Hey, yeah, we got one more in us. We got another one in us," because the money's too big. And here's the thing: you don't know what the future holds, so you don't know what fights might be out there or how long you will be in demand. Because, like we talked about when we first started the show, the reason why this fight took place is because you can't keep on threatening, oh, this fight of the century, this matchup, and it never working out because people lose interest. And sometimes the money just isn't there all the time. So that's why you got to strike while the iron's hot. And that's why it would not surprise me if we were to see a rematch, even though I don't think we see a different outcome, but just the monetary wise, I don't think either fighter can do anything more to get anywhere near where they just left. And if there's another opportunity to get that, I don't see why not.
Yeah, and I went on record as saying I do want him to run it back. Just to it is a bit like I said, chasing the dragon. One that feeling, that excitement. It's not going to be the same, but it's still people are still going to be excited for a rematch. But again, based on what's been said, that Bud said he wants to go down to 160. It doesn't appear that that's the case. So I don't know. It's hard to say. I mean, one thing I'm gonna make sure that we all get correct, because I've seen this in articles saying Bud is the first person or only person to be undisputed in 3 weight classes. He's the first male fighter. The first person to ever do that was the GWOAT Clarissa Shields, who went to the heavyweight division earlier this year and became undisputed in 3 different weight classes. So make sure we give the GWOAT her flowers. But yeah, it's a big deal for Bud he's the only one of 2 people. And does he want to be undisputed at 160 in 4 different weight classes? Nobody's ever done that. And that's just, I don't know. That blows my mind.
And you can definitely do it. My thing is, you got to compromise something. So if you want that, that's fine, but you're not going to get the big payday that you're looking for. That's the thing. So you can do that. That's cool, but it ain't no $100 million fight in that division. I don't see it. I could be wrong, but I don't see another opponent that could bring in anywhere close. I think if Bud got 25 million, I think that would be a stretch. I think that'd be impressive. And that's not saying that's not anything bad towards Bud at all. I'm not here for that. I'm just saying what it takes to make a big fight, a big draw, you got to have 2 name brand guys in that ring that people from other countries are tuning in and paying for and talking about. And I don't see that in the 160 division. I personally do not.
Agreed. I mean, that's probably his biggest gamble, or not gamble, just kind of what he can set his sights on, as being the only guy that's ever been, the only person who's ever been undisputed in 4 weight classes. And that might be what he wants to go out on, which is cool. I think he could do it. If anybody could, you never bet against Bud. Right. It's kind of the mantra around these parts on this show. That's what everybody says in my house. I live alone. But yeah, but yeah, I mean, I think that would be kind of his big last hurrah if he wants to kind of wind down his career. And yeah, I believe he just turned 38 when they had a big birthday celebration in Omaha for him. Is that what his age is now?
Yes.
Big birthday celebration in Omaha at the end of September, when, by the way, he was pulled over by some cops and got hassled for having a gun in the car, which Nebraska is an open carry state, but let's be real, probably open carry for only some people. Just putting that out there.
Yeah, and also, like, it's Terrence Crawford in Omaha. Like, he's literally the most famous person in the city.
Exactly.
Like, by far. Like, what are we doing here?
Him and Ernie Chambers, former state representative. My God.
Right.
Anyway, so yeah, let's. I'm still very excited to see what happens with Bud's next move, and it's the world's his oyster. So really excited to see what he pulls out of his hat next, because Again, mantra is don't bet against Bud. All right, next stop, another superstar name who draws big crowds and big money. Manny Pacquiao, my man, has been in the conversation a lot. Turns out that his son, Emmanuel Pacquiao Jr., will make his pro debut on his dad's new promotional company,
Love it.
MPP. Yeah, Manny Pacquiao Promotions. So I'm
Love
wondering,
it.
is this? Do you okay? Tell me how you feel about this.
So for the longest time, people like Manny, like everyone talks about Floyd money and all the other boxers getting screwed out of money. Bob Arum was getting funded by Manny Pacquiao all these years. Manny Pacquiao's fights were literally keeping Top Rank afloat. All right. I'm glad that Manny Pacquiao has his own promotional company. I'm glad he's doing better on the business side of things because there were some one of the biggest reasons why the Floyd fight actually happened because Manny Pacquiao was struggling financially. So I'm glad that Manny has the business side taken care of, even though shouldn't be fighting at his age, but that's neither here nor there. Having his son fight is very interesting, but keeping all of it in house is very smart. If he is going to box, have it under your umbrella, and that's something that's very smart. It makes a lot of sense on all different accounts. So that's very cool to see.
Yeah, I'm totally on board for Manny having a promotional company and fighting under having his own umbrella. My only thing, because of me, I'm always wondering, is that why you came back to set up your nepo baby son, or I mean, I guess if you can set up the family with your name and backup, why wouldn't you? But like, is this another Nico Ali Wash situation?
Nah, so here's the thing though. With boxing, you can't really do the nepotism thing because you still got to fight. Like you
True.
can't. It's not like an office job where you just put somebody as CEO or at vice president and this. You gotta boxing. You can only do that so much. That's why some of the most famous boxer sons have failed because boxing got to be in you. You can't fake boxing. I can't want it more than you. If you don't want it, you will get exposed extremely quickly. However, Manny being as powerful he is and as popular as he is in the Philippines, with how
Yeah.
popular he is in this country and around the world, him having a promotion company is extremely smart because there's a lot of people the size of Manny Pacquiao that are fighters that aren't strong enough to do UFC but are quick and strong enough to do boxing. That's a very, very, very smart business venture for him. I can see him doing very well. I mean, in the Philippines, he's basically the most famous athlete there is. So if any boxer's coming up, he automatically is going to get them. There's no way he doesn't. So just by that, and if he's the guy that's also helping with training and getting guys on the right track, I think it's a no brainer. So I think it's a very good thing as long as he's in it for the right reasons, as long as he's trying to promote boxing and make sure his boxers are ready and willing. I think it's a great situation.
Yeah, and I'm sure that there's a lot of trainers, everybody who wants to be, working with Manny just because of his name, his legacy, cachet, etc. But my thing is, he's still planning on coming back. He says potentially January under MPP, Manny
Yep.
Pacquiao Promotions.
Yep.
Should he still keep? If this is his next venture, and of course he's maybe trying to settle some money issues, does he need to keep fighting? Does he need to come back
I
himself?
think he's better with the money now than he was once upon a time. I know there were some tax issues well in like 10 years ago, but I think he's better now. With that being said, the thing about the promotion company and the fighting at the same time simultaneously is basically you get to keep a check. So instead of
Okay.
paying a promotion company X amount of dollars, that all goes to you under your entity. So that makes a lot of sense. We saw Oscar was the originator of it. I know we can talk about Oscar for many moons and a lot of topics and whatnot. However, there's two things we cannot debate about Oscar. One, he was a hell of a fighter in his prime and he fought everyone. Secondly, business wise, he was the first one to really kind of understand it. Didn't necessarily run Golden Boy the best, but in terms of understanding that, hey, I can fight and be a promoter, let me get involved with this. He got that pretty early on, and it made a lot of sense. I believe when he fought Floyd, Golden Boy was the promotional company that was the one promoting it. So he got the bag on both ends, which is in any business venture, if you could do that, you're running it. So Pacquiao doing that at the end here makes a lot of sense. But also, Pacquiao for a guy that is for a lot of guys that are 5'5, 125 pounds, that's the guy you're going to be like, oh, if he's running, I want to be under him. I want to, because he did it. He went from 120 all the way up to 147. else. I think did he fight at 154? I know 147 for sure. I know that.
Yeah,
But yeah,
yeah, yes.
so those are the things that as a prospective fighter, if I'm seeing a guy that was my size and made all the money he did and everything he accomplished, I'm like, oh, I can sign with him. It makes a lot of sense. But on the back end here, he's at the end of his career. He's on a fight-to-fight basis. It makes a lot of sense to fight and also promote your own because you get so much more benefits from doing so.
Sure, and say what you will about how Oscar ran Golden Boy. My man crawled so that other fighters, promoters could run. So he definitely definitely led the way. And here's the thing: I mean, we've never begrudged fighters, trying to make as much money as they can because it's a dangerous sport. It's only for the young. The only time I personally begrudge them is if they decide to fight Jake Paul for a payday and ruin their status. But that's neither here nor there. No, I mean, I wonder. My thing is this: if you can be a promoter and have a lot of guys that look up to you and want to be under you, you don't really need the fight. I mean, I just worry that he look good, and we worry about guys getting high on their own supply, like we said before. And I don't want that to happen to Manny, not at all.
Well, he can't get more embarrassed than what happened back. There's nothing more he can do. There's nothing else that can happen worse than the JMM4 fight.
What happened in that fight, Jamieson? If you don't, I don't remember.
All I know is this, man. We knew that fight wasn't going to distance. Both guys were going. That fight was going to hell one way or another. And one guy threw a check hook that missed, and the other guy didn't miss. And Manny went 9-9, and that was it. And nothing's ever been the same. So, as our producer says, Simba, which means Manny Pacquiao was looking like Simba. So yes, that's what. So there's nothing else that can replace that. There's nothing else that can be as embarrassing in the ring outside of getting knocked out of the ring. There's nothing else that Manny can do in the ring that can be more embarrassing than that, in my opinion.
That's fair. That's fair. We've said it before, and I'm going to say it every time when that clip comes up. All I hear in my head is, "He's not getting up, Jim. He's not getting up.
Not getting up, Jim." Yeah.
Oh, no. Hey, and no shade, my man. He had an amazing career. It's not to say that it destroyed his legacy, or he's not.
Thing. I thought he was about to put JMM on his back. Like that's the thing. That's the funniest thing about boxing that is so great is that at any moment the whole fortune could change like that. There's no rhyme or reason. It's just boxing, and the way the fight was going, they both had in their minds that they were willing to go all out for whatever was going to happen. And yes, the memes were funny, the clips are funny, and all that. But both boxers were okay with if I gotta go, I gotta go. But I'm gonna put my best foot forward. And yeah, that was a classic night.
Yeah, and there's what I've always said. I mean, there's no shame. You go in the ring, you give it your all. An L is an L, and like I said, Manny's career didn't end like the series finale of Dexter, where it ruined everything that came before.
Yeah,
it,
no.
I hate that show. Anyway, great. Well, let's. I'm excited to see. We're still wondering if Manny's officially going to fight Rolly Romero in January. That's what it's looking like. Mm-hmm. But no official word yet. But
also, that's a big opportunity for Rolly. Like, that's a huge opportunity for Rolly because Rolly right now is known as the card filler guy. Like, he's a guy that you put in there when a guy's getting ready for the next big fight. He's not the big fight yet, but if he beats Pacquiao, even though Pacquiao is old, it's a good opportunity for him because he needs it. He needs the Ryan Garcia one was whatever. If he beats Pacquiao, it's a good look for his resume and his situation because then he can get a co-feature event being part of the card. And I can see that happening.
Yeah, I don't feel that beating Pacquiao gets, well, of course, some boxing fans are going to be like, oh, you beat up on an old man, you're not good, blah. But I think Pacquiao, for most people, especially the way he looked coming back last fight, mm-hmm. That's still a big, big deal. Doesn't matter that he's an old man now. He's beating Pacquiao still is going to carry a lot of weight for
absolutely. A lot of cachet.
Absolutely. So let's see what happens, in the beginning of next year. So next up, what do we got here? Our boy Dana White his Zuffa Boxing has signed a deal with Paramount Plus where the UFC was already going. Kind of no brainer for him. He already said he'd been trying to get into boxing. He was trying to start the Zuffa Boxing back. I think it was the McGregor Mayweather fight. I don't remember. He talked about it.
Yep.
Yeah, nothing came out of it. Now Canelo Crawford, he's officially in the boxing scene. I think I don't have a lot to say about Dana White in general right now because I think we have material for a full episode, very, very soon about his role in boxing, what that's going to look like. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I've always said I love watching fights. I'll put on just, any random boxer because I just love the sport so much. If Dana White's involved, not my favorite, but whatever. I just want more fights accessible, easily accessible at any given time. So, how do you feel about Dana White bringing that into Paramount alongside UFC?
So I think Dana White means well. I actually do. I think he means well. I think he actually wants to put on as many fights as possible. He's tried with the slap league. He's tried with bare knuckle boxing. He's tried a lot of different things. So I think he means well. I don't think his intentions are bad. I think he wants to put as many matches on as possible. The one thing I will give the UFC credit for, even though it's not my particular cup of tea, is that there's a lot of fights and a lot of the guys are fighting a lot of the guys, which is really good. What you want your sport to have is dudes fighting dudes or the contenders fighting contenders. You don't want cherry picking. You don't want random stuff. You want guys fighting guys. And he gets that for UFC, but also they fight pretty consistently. And that's something that boxing's had an issue with. So having a home where you can put fights on, that's somewhat accessible. I think is a huge win. And also he's in partnership and collaboration with Turkey and all the other powers that be. So I think it's a good thing. We'll see how it all pans out because it's one thing getting the deal done. It's another thing of fulfilling whatever's asked of the deal. That's what I'm curious about. Once the deal's in action, then what do you need to do to market those fights? How are the fights going to be marketed? That's where I'm at because getting a deal done for content is not the biggest thing in the world. But how do they market it? How do we sell unknown fighters to the public? Those are all things I'm kind of curious on. But like right now, I'm like you, wait and see mode. But I think it's a good thing because boxing didn't have a home up until this, so that's a good thing.
Right. My only thing that kind of, and it could be a minor complaint. It's not even a complaint. It's more just like a bummer of it. Is just that the big news was UFC huge multi-billion-dollar deal with Paramount Plus. And I guess we'll add boxing into the mix. It's like a little bonus, It's like get a little toy at the bottom of the cereal box, kind of a thing. And I don't know. It just kind of it bums me out that boxing's status is just so lowered next to UFC.
If CBS can put on the big three basketball on weekends, they can put on boxing on the weekends. And that's no disrespect to any of the former NBA players and basketball players that are playing in that league, but you can have boxing on the weekends in them time slots as well over the summer. So I think there's an avenue and a way to make things work. But a couple things. Boxers got to do their part. The boxers are not doing a good enough part of marketing themselves. It's one thing to win in the ring, but these guys are kind of boring now. And I mean, I don't want you being Adrian Bronner. I don't want you being that, but we don't have nobody being exciting. There's not a whole lot of energy. We're missing that now. There's a couple guys that have some, but we're missing a lot of oomph out of a lot of our boxers, and we need somebody that people want to see. Right now, this feels like guys all about making a bag and then disappearing. We need guys that want the limelight, that bring energy to a table. And until that happens, we're gonna keep on having the same discussions.
Sure, and I feel this is my opinion. I think there are a lot of guys out there that are just not in as many avenues now. We've talked before about how we don't see the guys that are 7-0 at 3 p.m. on cards. The way to see that most recently was a fight on ESPN, but you sign up for ESPN Plus to stream the early stuff, and now that's gone. So we talked last episode about guys on Overtime Boxing. Sure, it's broadcast on DAZN. They seem to have a very good production, but the regular layperson doesn't know about that. I had to find them through Instagram randomly, and they even got a good online social media presence. They just do a lot of memes, a lot of funny videos, all that stuff. They're good at what they do. And when the fighters that I saw a few weeks ago, They're hungry. They look like killers. They were tough. They were exciting. But you got to tell people, find overtime on YouTube streaming, whatever. If you have the zone, find that. If you do have
Right.
that, find overtime, blah blah blah. So I think it's just the ability to get access to things now that's really hurting the up and coming guys. I think there's a lot of dudes who, and ladies, who could make it big. They're just kind of doing their best on TikTok and Instagram, and that's great. That's necessary, but that does not a superstar make unless you're, a singer, like a musician who has something go viral.
Right. No, I agree 100%. And as we need more stars. We need guys to fight more. But being on Paramount Plus, which is a CBS app in a sense, is the start. But we need guys that are loud. Like, we need productive loud, not annoying loud, but we need productive loud to where people know who you are, but you're respectfully loud. So hopefully that comes up sooner than later. But anything that puts more fights on TV, I'm for.
Agreed. I mean, I'm not a big fan of Dana White and his way of doing business. And like I said, we can talk about more about that in a future episode. But at the end of the day, we're dealing with it. We're talking about a sport that we love. We're working class guys doing this working class podcast about this sport that we're super passionate about. But this is not something that this is a sport with money from the Saudis, from people that have been screwing over fighters for a long time. Not the best people. I mean, we're kind of, there's no, like, I don't know, like a small batch, locally owned boxing promotion that we can like build up. It's always going to be somebody is attached to it that's not a great guy, doesn't have a great history, and it sucks. We're living in a world where 10,000 brands are owned by 3 or 4 corporations, and boxing is not immune to that. Nothing is immune to that anymore.
And this is all their fault too. That's the thing. This could have all been avoided. We've had a lack of organization at the top for a very long time. For the longest time, the biggest promotion companies were in beef with each other instead of in collaboration with each other. If the heads at the top could have all came together and said, "Hey, this is how we're going to do business. This is how we're going to do things," we'd have been a lot better off, a whole lot better off. But there was so much infighting, there was so much beef, there was so much distraction, amongst other things, and here we are. Because UFC, to their credit, they don't have those issues at the top. There's not a lot of dissension. They got other issues, but their issues aren't about the organization and the structure. Boxing lacks structure because it felt like one promotion company did this thing, one did that thing, other ones below it did their own thing, and no one was on the same page, which it all ended up hurting the sport. So basically like a 1,000 different paper cuts, which ended to what we have now. So hopefully it gets better, but we still have some holes to fill.
Sure. And it's the thing that I like the idea of in boxing is, there's a lot of different promotional companies, a lot of guys coming in like Oscar doing this where, they should have been collaborating more and kind of lifting up the industry so that they're the thing I don't like so much is, about UFC is there's one guy at the top, what he says goes, and it kind of every fighter has to fall in line. There's a lot of opportunities to make a name. Guys like Canelo can choose their own fighters or choose their opponents rather. You end up with a big fight, changes their life, like Bud Crawford type. He can write his own ticket. That's a thing that boxing had always had that UFC doesn't right now. And it's looking like boxing is having that opportunity less and less. But again, we can just go back to the same conversation of it's because guys aren't fighting enough and aren't making a name for themselves. So it's like it's a chicken or the egg thing. Are you not able to make a name for yourself because you're not fighting as often? Or do you have less opportunities to get your name out there because there's less places to find boxing? I mean, my God, we still, and I'm going to say it every damn episode until it happens. Where the hell is Top Rank Boxing going to be shown? God damn it.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Also, who takes over for Bob Arum once his time comes? Like, there's no successor. Like, we talk about Golden Boy and PBC and all these other companies, but what happens with Top Rank and Bob Arum after his day comes?
Yeah, what did he? Yeah, is he? They always make a big deal about his birthday. Like he's over 90 now, right?
Right around there, yeah. Him and Don King are both very old, yeah.
Yeah. Here's my prediction on Bob Arum is that nobody's playing plans for the future because folks like that just kind of, I don't know if they money makes you assume that you're going to be around forever. Maybe Bob Arum really believes that he's going to be 200 years old,
Yeah,
and they don't think about the future. You know,
yeah, that's true. That's true.
reminds me of Batman '89 when the Joker shoots Eckhart and it says, "Think about the future."
Oh wow,
And none of these people, I just saw that, or just rewatched that a couple weeks ago. So I hear that
wow.
in my head. But no, I honestly, honestly speaking, I think a lot of people at the top, including our politicians, not to get too into that, people just kind of sit there and ride the wave because they got this history, legacy, and they don't think about who's going to take over once, our 90-year-olds are up and gone. So
True.
anyway, okay, let's see. Next up, we got here. All right, Millions.co, an official partner of 19 Media Group, our network that is gracious enough to have us on, or sorry, have me on, even back when I didn't know what the hell I was doing early on. But Millions.co is a platform that hosts, podcasts, interviews. We're on there, and they're actually having a pay-per-view event on October 18th featuring Danny Garcia. He's winding down his career. It's the promotion says that he's saying goodbye to Brooklyn and fighting Danny Gonzalez. Danny Garcia has been very inactive in the last 5 years. Only fought a handful of times. Yep. Just want to see how you feel about this upcoming pay-per-view stream on this platform.
It's very interesting. Danny Garcia had a hell of a career for what his skill set and his overall talents are. For how he came up, his big breakthrough versus Amir Khan, and where he took that and rode with it. Hell of a career. I don't know if he's a boxing Hall of Famer. I don't know if it's that kind of career, but he's pretty damn good. He's very, very good. But yeah, hell of a career. A lot of good fights, a lot of big fights. But he's also a guy that made a lot of money. When you make a lot of money, you're not as active. He's probably one of the poster children for, hey, I made a lot of money. I used to fight a couple times a year. Now I'm only fighting once every 18 months, which, hey, I get it. And also, here's the thing, too. I don't know how his body's reacting to fights. So his body may take 6 months to recover. Those are questions I don't know. I'd love to talk to him about those things because it's interesting when guys are trying to make their name, they're more active, but once they get to a certain age, they may take more time to recover. So those are all things we have to kind of factor in as well. But at the same time, he made a lot of good money under PBC. He was headlining a lot of those East Coast fights, whether they're in Brooklyn or Madison Square Garden, Philly. He was headlining a lot of those big fight weekends when PBC was pumping money into the sport. So I know he did well financially, did very well in the ring as well. But yeah, very, very good fighter. It's funny how I think it was 2012 when he fought Khan, and then 13 years later, he's at the other end of his career. It all makes sense, but it's time. We're so accustomed to the Floyds and the Crawfords and the Pacquiaos fighting so long. The normal time for a boxer is once the mid-30s come around, that's pretty much about it. That's it. That's normally a career, which is fine.
I mean, once the mid-30s come around for us just as regular dudes, our knees don't work the same. Rick, I still remember when our producer Jabari Davis, who's old as hell, way older than us, he's ancient, probably in his mid-40s. He told me when recovery time's gonna double, and man, was he right. It's not like I didn't believe him, but you believe it, but you don't really understand it until it happens. And I'm talking about recovery time for the gym, for hangovers, for anything, for a long night out, everything. So, it's got just my admiration for these guys who are still fighting mid-30s, Bud, Canelo, close to 40. It's just amazing the fact what they can do. And, I really think, and I'll include myself because I'm a snarky little bitch sometimes. We can kind of clown fighters for not looking as good in the ring as they get older, maybe getting dropped, this and that. But at the end of the day, no matter what, I still respect the hell out of anybody that gets in that ring, period. Absolutely. Yeah. And you can't just do it. You don't see guys, whether they're, over the hill, whether their skills are kind of diminished over the years. I don't know. You still don't see guys coming in there fat and hungover, into that ring. They're still training as hard as they can. So, yeah, I mean, I think it's cool that Danny Garcia wants to cap his career with a big fight on this platform. Do I think it's necessary? I mean, you can't just kind of say thanks for the memories and walk off. We don't want anybody to get hurt. I just hope that, at the end of the day, it comes back to hope guys aren't too high on their own supply to get really injured, because it It's a big deal. And being as inactive, I don't know that life, of course,
Mhm.
but I can't imagine that no matter how hard you work out in the gym for 2 years, being out of the ring makes a big difference. It's not the same thing. You know
Right.
what I mean?
I
Like
agree.
if you're not in the ring twice a year, I feel like it can't possibly be the same thing. I don't care if you're working out 7 days a week. It's 4 hours a day.
I agree 100% with you. That's something where it's a tall task, man. It's a very tall task. With that being said, he's had a hell of a career from before the Khan fight to now. Man, yeah, it's a hell of a ride for a guy that, I mean, he has a great left hook, but when you look at him, he's not like a big power guy. He's not an overly fast guy, but he's a hell of a boxer for what his skill set it actually is. So, kudos to him for being able to end it on his terms, not getting retired. Some guys get retired. He's doing it on his terms. So that's pretty cool.
And on that note, since we're bringing up Amir Khan, he also can be sort of a punchline, and it does kind of suck that you're on every single Canelo fight reel as getting slept, or sorry, not slept. His eyes were open when he hit that when his back hit that
I,
canvas.
I was
But
actually at that fight,
were you
and
okay?
yeah, I was at that fight, and yeah, the thing is, it's like any boxing fight, you can kind of tell. All right, the favorite's about to close the show here. He's just timing everything. He's timing everything, and then once it happened, it was like, oh yeah, this is over. But yeah. Khan's defense and lack of a jaw pause is, man, one of the biggest what ifs, because if he would have had any kind of defense and if he was able to, the funniest thing about the Khan Garcia fight is this: if he wins that fight, he fights Floyd. Because at the time, that's what people wanted to see. That was in big demand. Khan had the people from overseas, a huge fan base from overseas, another big money fight. But when that didn't happen, he never really recovered from that. And then, yeah, the Canelo fight was what it was, and then that was all she wrote.
Sure, and that all of that is true and fair. What I was actually getting on is that Amir Khan still deserves respect. I just looked it up: 34 wins, 6 losses.
Yeah,
He's had a good career, and
yeah.
he's a big name in British boxing. He's a big name in Southeast Asian boxing.
Nope.
The man, like I said, deserves respect. And yeah, like I still kind of like it's more just like let's say this: if I got my ass kicked on, even just like somebody like filming it out on the street and putting it on Instagram, and that just kept coming up over and over and over. Every twice a year, they show a little highlight of me getting my ass slapped and put down on the sidewalk. That would suck. That's gotta suck. you know
Yep.
that and that is an amazing knockout from Canelo when Khan hit the canvas. So
Yeah, he be getting knocked the hell out. That's the issue. Like the knockouts are like
yeah, but what was
cartoon
the what was
characters.
the vibe at that fight like?
It was so I knew what was going to happen, but it was kind of uneasy after round like 4. Like people kind of felt, like at the time, I probably think Khan was probably winning the fight early on. To be honest with you, however, again, when you watch the fight, it's like, oh, okay, well, you see you see what's happening. Like Canelo wasn't phased at all by anything Khan was doing. It was that Khan was more active, doing the typical Americana stuff, more active, speed, athleticism, all that, showing, leading like he does, and then Canel's just timing everything, and then all she wrote, and then it went like, oh, and that was when T-Mobile first opened. So it was like, I want to say probably the first big fight at that arena. Because yeah, it was right around that time. So yeah. But and that's why I knew Canelo was really that guy, because he brought everybody out. Everybody named Mama was out, like from here, overseas, casual fans. He brought them all out, and I mean all of them, all the beautiful Mexican women and other Hispanic women. He brought them out, and I mean, if you partake in Mexican and other Hispanic and Latin women, that was the place to be for that weekend, because they were all out and they were dressed to impress. They were out. So yeah, for those who enjoy looking at beautiful women, I don't know how many more fights Canelo has left in the States, but I do advise you, if possible, to be in the city wherever he's fighting at in the States going forward.
Man, on that note, I love going to like concerts, Mexican concerts, and just even Phoenix and the ladies,
Yes, yes,
a
yes.
popular musician and ladies come out
Mm-hmm.
dressed to impress. man,
Yes.
yeah, it's always a night to remember, and it's not just for the show on stage. The ladies out there, man, it is it is a sight to see. But Tucson Tejano concerts were always the spot as well.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, anything like that, man, you're right. No, it's we're not gonna just lose an amazing fighter when we lose Canelo. We're gonna lose the draw that he brings in. But yeah, anyway, just kind of bring it all back. Actually, I can't believe that I didn't remember this because I read this many times. And again, it's probably just kind of goes to show that we don't, just kind of don't give Amir Khan the respect he deserves. He's the only dude to have fought both Canelo and Bud Crawford. Like, he fought them both. Did you know that?
And yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, that's a good call. Great call. Wow.
Yeah, so he was in the ring with both of them, and he went up weight classes to fight Canelo, and lost to both.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, he got in the ring with two of the best fighters of their generation, these days. So that takes a lot, and even if he didn't pull out the W, respect to him. Again, I don't want to be super snarky with the guy because and he takes it in good stride. He makes jokes about it. I think there was something, I might have said this before. Somebody said he was using like performance enhancing drugs, and he said, if I took PEDs, I would have been a better fighter.
Right. I did that interview. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, but anyway, we started this part of the segment talking about Danny Garcia versus Danny Gonzalez, but just a reminder, October 18th on millions.co, pay-per-view, $40. Shout out to Millions. We upload our show there. They make clips for us, help us out on social media, official partner of 19 Media Group. So yeah, check it out if you can. And shout out to Danny Garcia. So next up, another thing I'm very excited about is our recurring segment called Pop Pugilism, in which we discuss a movie, TV show, or documentary about boxing. And I'm thrilled today to announce that this segment is brought to you by another sponsor, our friends from the Bad Movies, Worst People podcast. Big supporters of the show. Not only that, they've been kind enough to send us a custom ad. So let's roll the clip.
Guys, I got a new philosophy, right? Life is a lot like a bad movie. It can suck. But if you get together with friends and you drink, you can at least have a good time while the movie sucks.
What about other things? Can you do other things?
You can have any sort of caveat you want. But I just more mean, do you guys want to get together and just watch bad movies and make fun of them?
Yeah, I do that anyway, by myself.
Might as well do it together.
Ooh, I'll get silver bullets.
I think we can start a podcast, guys.
I think we should.
I have a great name for it. Bad Movies, Worst People. And you'll be able to find it anywhere you can get podcasts, or you can go to badmoviesworstpeople.com.
That's amazing.
And you can tell there's no actors on this podcast. It's really painfully clear that the acting is not where we shine.
Yes, it's very clear.
Very clear.
Thanks, guys. These guys have been big supporters of our show, and we love them here. So, shout out to Bad Movies, Worst People. Now, today, we are talking about Creed from 2015. 10-year anniversary of this movie is coming up. It was out in November, and I've got here the exclusive steelbook with Creed 1 and Creed 2. If you haven't checked this out on YouTube, definitely do that. A little import here. Now, this movie probably doesn't need a lot of introduction. It's essentially Rocky 7. It was directed by Ryan Coogler, who has been absolutely crushing it in the last decade, and especially this year. If y'all haven't seen Sinners, it's ranked my number one movie of the year so far. A lot of things have come real close to knocking it down from the spot, but it hasn't happened yet. As of October 2025, Sinners is still the number one. And I can say so much about this movie. I could have done a whole episode just talking about Creed because it is my favorite boxing movie. It is this is top tier. It's not just a great boxing movie. It is a great movie as far as I'm concerned. And I'm going to go off on this movie a lot. So, Jamieson, I just want to ask you, have you seen it? Did you see it when it came out? What are your thoughts on this movie and on in its place in the Rocky franchise?
Saw it in the theaters. Saw it recently. And like anything else, if you put the money and energy behind something that's really good, it will have good numbers. It will have good showing. You can tell we've talked about a lot of boxing movies over the last year or so on this show. This is the one that had all the emphasis behind it. Had the money, had star power, had resources, had a great storyline, had great acting, had all the things that, hey man, if you put it, they will come. And to be honest with you, man, we need more of this. This is what we need. I'm glad you actually chose this movie because this actually makes boxing look dope. Not just the stuff in the ring, but the storytelling of boxers. We've gotten away from knowing where guys came from in boxing. We've gotten away from the struggle stories of boxers. We've gotten way away from it where we don't tell the story of how they got to this point. All that movie had everything that we grew up on when it came to boxing. So to me, Creed is an amazing film. Giving that way to the end of the segment is a 4 out of 4 in a lot of ways. If I give it 4+, I would. But no, that movie is, if I gave somebody that's a casual person that doesn't really watch boxing, I would give them that movie to give them more emphasis on learning more about the sport, learning, researching more. Even though Rocky's a fictional character and Creed is technically a fictional character, the movie itself would have a non-boxing fan doing more research and asking more questions about the sport.
Yeah, man, 100% agree. So my thing with this movie, I well, just really quick in case, like I said, it doesn't need a lot of introduction, but it is in the Rocky franchise. Michael B. Jordan plays Adonis Creed, Apollo Creed's son, from an affair that he had. Apollo Creed died before little Donnie, as they call him, was born. Mother died when he was young. Ends up in group homes, foster homes, juvie. And Apollo Creed's wife, played amazingly by Felicia Rashad, takes him in. And it's his story. It's essentially the first Rocky, but with this character, trying to make a name for himself, underdog fighter, gets a chance for a big fight. And then, honestly, the details don't even matter because it's, we all know the story, but goes the distance, doesn't win, but gets the moral victory, proving himself. So my thing with this movie is I actually didn't see it when it first came out, and it's grown on me. I did like it when I first saw it. Did not go to see it in theaters. I'll admit, I was, when I heard it's like, oh, a new franchise with Apollo Creed's son, I was like, what is this shit? What kind of hacky garbage are they going to put out where they just like try to make a franchise out of anything? Like, come on. Didn't know Ryan Coogler back then. This movie is very much I apologize, Ryan Coogler. I was not familiar with your game. I really liked the movie when it came out, but it took another watch or two when I really grew to love it. Like, yeah, same thing. We always rate movies out of 4 gloves at the end of the segment. This one is 4+. The thing with me that kind of took me a sec to get into it is that the character Creed, Adonis Creed, like I said, he was adopted by Felicia Rashad and grows up with the Creed millions. He's in a mansion. He's a little rich boy. Still tries to make his own name, become a fighter without using the Creed name. And it kind of seemed like it didn't really, it was sort of moving away from the story of a fighter that like needs to fight to get out of like a tough situation. Yeah. And at first I thought it was kind of hokey. I'm like, well, he's kind of a little rich boy. Yeah. But when I really the movie turned a page for me is when I realized, oh, wait a second. The racial economic issues, class struggle isn't really the point. It's daddy issues. This movie is daddy issues all the way, and I got that shit in spades. So not in the same way, I don't know what it's like to grow up without a father. My issue was that he was around, but I stick with it sticks with me. I mean, the movies and the daddy issues have stuck with me all my life. So that really is when it really started connecting, and I was like, oh, I get it. It really clicked. There's a scene where he plays a YouTube video of Apollo Creed fighting Rocky. Michael B. Jordan is shadow boxing against his father. And I'm like, I've thought about fighting my father, for decades. My God. Things like that really kind of raised the movie's esteem in my mind. Amazing. Well, written by Ryan Coogler as well, co-written. Just really captures it's a movie that will bring in fans of Michael B. Jordan, people interested in Ryan Coogler, and then fans of the Rocky franchise. I wouldn't say I'm a huge Rocky fan. People kind of overestimate that franchise. The first movie is a good movie. I think they kind of put it too high of a pedestal. But Creed does kind of treat that franchise and legacy with respect in a way that, fans aren't going to be put off and say like, giving him the short shift. Sylvester Stallone is in this movie, and he does put in a great performance. I don't know how you feel about. I believe he was nominated for an Oscar for this movie.
Yep.
Yeah. So I want to see how you feel just in general about how the Rocky franchise as a whole is kind of seen in our culture.
So I don't like Rocky. I'm gonna be first, and the reason why is because the premise of it is you have a white heavyweight champion. At the time it was first created, late 70s, the division was dominated by black fighters. So this was basically a way to put a white heavyweight champ in things when black fighters were running things. So when you look at it like that, it's like I see their motive. However, that being said, keeping it just movies only, I think it's a dope movie situation. I think it's a dope movie. The whole boxing, I love boxing. The way it's a movie. I don't like that he had a statue in Philly before Joe Frazier. I thought that was crazy. I still think it's crazy. With that being said, the movie itself was a dope boxing movie. It's dope because again, storytelling shows a journey. There's stories, there's failure, there's family stuff. There's a lot of compelling things that go on and on and on. So it showed that. Now, again, the whole theory and the way it came about, but the time it came out, I'm not really here for because it's like, hey man, you got a random white underdog guy from Philadelphia fighting a black fighter who's a champ. Like, all right, man, we've tried this many of times. We know what sells. But again, it's late 70s. I get it. But Creed was a hell of a remix to the whole brand, and you can't talk about the Rocky Brown without mentioning Creed. And I think it's really, really good. And Michael B. Jordan was known for the longest time. He's done a lot of other things as being the guy from Creed. Like, that was one of his biggest roles, was being Michael B. Jordan from Creed, the Creed actor. So those are things that you really can't take away. But the whole Rocky brand is very strong in terms of movie listing and whatnot. It has a really good filmography under its brand.
Yeah, I think the movies are popular. The movies are popular for good reasons and for bad reasons. I think they have a lot of cultural touchstones. Of course, the training montage usually it specifically came from that. The music's iconic, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But yes, I'm with you, and I do believe that it was propped up because it was a fantasy white heavyweight fighter. And here's the thing: you say fighting a champ from Philly. Not just that. Apollo Creed is very specifically supposed to be Muhammad Ali. Like, he's a Muhammad Ali stand-in in this movie. So that's kind of why I think it gets a lot more due than it deserves. As the same thing with a Rocky statue in Philly. Like, please, that's ridiculous.
You will never be able to explain that one to me. Like, for what Joe Frazier did as a boxer, for everything he accomplished, for his career, for him not to get a statue first is criminal. And I get it. Like, movies are very popular. I get it. I understand. But hey, man, look here. Joe Frazier, man. Joe Frazier literally fought the fight of. You can make an argument that the first Ali Frazier fight is basically the best boxing match ever when you combine everything. The whole thing. I mean, they've done documentaries about that fight. So come on, what are we doing here? And a fight that he won, by the way. So what are we doing? What are we doing here? Like, what are we doing here? So yeah, man, I'm not rolling.
Creed, the movie Creed specifically, it gets into fighting in a way that I don't know. For me, and I've seen all the Rocky movies, and I've seen the downfalls of it, the dangers of getting hurt, blah blah. But nothing in any other boxing movie, actually, for me personally, hits as hard as Felicia Rashad telling Michael B. Jordan, when he says that he wants to fight, and she's pissed off because his father, Apollo Creed, died in the ring.
Right.
Tells him, do you know how many times I've had to help your father up these stairs because he couldn't walk? Do you know how many times I had to wipe his ass because he couldn't use his hands? Like, that shit is just like, the fact that they put those lines specifically in a boxing movie where you're supposed to root for the boxer is just wild to me. Nothing is as like visceral as those two lines. and it's just amazing. Like, and the fact that, to the character, it doesn't matter. He still wants to fight, and a little personal connection that I had in like 21 when I was like starting 2021 when I was doing my own boxing training, nothing serious, just doing it for fun. Started sparring, getting my ass absolutely kicked, and I had so much fun. I loved it, and I was telling myself like, whatever, this will heal, it'll be good. I knew in the back of my head and every side of my head I could get seriously injured because I was a mid-30s fat guy. Never did anything as hard as boxing, but I loved it. And I saw the movie and I was like, damn it, I know, like, I get it. Even for somebody that's not even anywhere close to taking boxing seriously, like, I just had so much fun going into that gym and getting my ass kicked didn't matter. I was back. I came back the next day and the next day, and did it for a few years. Took a break just to focus on getting fat again. Reconnect with my roots. But just seeing the passion in the character and Michael B. Jordan's acting, like, it hit hard at a really like solid time when I needed it. 2020 was a tough time for a lot of people, myself included. I got super fat, super depressed about it. Pushing myself to get it into the gym and going hard, bro, and doing this of all things. I wasn't just like, I don't know, sitting there doing push-ups. Like, I was doing all the crazy stuff and getting punched in the face over and over. This movie was very, very inspirational to me personally, and it really it just, like I said, got better and better with a few years. I actually wasn't even going to watch it for this episode because I know it so well, but I was like, well, why would I turn down an opportunity to watch this movie again, because I love it so much. Put it on. It's just over 2 hours. Flew by like that. I didn't feel the length. It wasn't bored. Wasn't like, oh, this movie again that I've seen 5 or 6 times. Man, I can just watch it over and over, and it's amazing. And yeah, the performance, and yeah, Michael B. Jordan. He was in The Wire as a kid. I watched him on Friday Night Lights, the TV show, as like a teenager. Before this, he was in that god awful Fantastic Four that I couldn't even finish. I couldn't watch the whole thing. Absolute garbage. But then this movie came out, and that's what made Michael B. Jordan who he is. This guy, him and Ryan Coogler's collaboration in this movie specifically, like, this is what made him the guy. This is what made him a household name. And I'm really glad that garbage Fantastic Four movie did not hurt his career in one bit. And then we've all forgotten about it. But yeah, so much. Like I said, I could talk for a full hour on this about this movie. But one thing I wanted to mention, a couple things. I never liked Tessa Thompson before this movie. I first saw her in Veronica Mars, the TV show, when she was younger. Kind of a one-note mean girl character. It wasn't until this movie that I realized, oh, she actually is a great actress, has some great range, can be very dynamic, played a great character. So that completely turned me around, complete 180 on Tessa Thompson. Which I'm happy about. Tony Bellew is the guy that plays the main antagonist, the main challenger in the movie, Pretty Boy Ricky Conlon. Were you familiar with Tony Bellew at all, Jamieson? He's a professional fighter, was a professional fighter.
No, I'm not.
Yeah, I looked him up. He was a cruiserweight champ. WBC had the WBC belt, so he's a legit fighter. But it always makes me laugh. He goes into the ring for the big final fight. Michael B. Jordan looking like he does, just insanely jacked, 14-pack abs. Right. The arms aren't guns, they're cannons. And then Tony Bellew takes off his robe, and my man, like, I could be shaped like him in like 4 weeks of working hard. I'm sorry, I know he's a legit fighter. The front is like flat, like a cardboard box. His arms are like cylindrical. Again, he's talented. I'm not going to take it away, but I could look like Tony Bellew in this movie after just give me, like I said, 4 weeks of working hard. And I could tell the ladies I'm shaped like a professional boxer. I just wouldn't tell them which one.
Wow.
And then you look at MPJ in here, like, the man is just insanely cut, huge, like protruding man titties.
He was prepared for the role. He took the role seriously.
He took the role seriously, and no disrespect to Tony Bellew. Like I said, if my man is a champion, he's a legitimate fighter. MBJ was not, but it never won't make me laugh when he takes that robe off, and it's just like, blah.
Yeah.
So, but hey, takes all kinds, and of course the man had skill. But yeah, I could look like professional boxer Tony Bellew. At the time this movie was filmed, he was still fighting. Like he won the WC belt like the year after. It's not like he retired and was just kind of, chilling.
Oh, wow.
Like so but good performance from him. Andre Ward is in this for a little bit.
Yep.
Yep. And in the sequel, a lot of people from the boxing world. Stitch Duran, the cut man, is in this, who I love because he looks exactly like Edward James almost.
Mm-hmm.
To the point where you think it is him in the movie.
Well.
but yeah, man, God, I it's like I don't even know like what to say in the short period that we have about this movie, that just like I could just go on and on and on. So I won't do that. I'll wrap it. I'll just say, like, if you have not seen Creed, it is a strong recommend. If you're not a boxing fan and you want to see a great movie with some, well-directed fights. Oh, and we can't forget the first major fight that Creed is in, completely one shot. Like, there's no cuts.
Yep.
It is a oneer. It did cheat. It filmed the round for 2 minutes, not 3. I counted. I looked at the timing, but that's okay. Really well choreographed fights. Great direction from Ryan Coogler. Just, there's a reason that my man Coogler is, one of the best modern directors, one of the best younger modern directors. Yep. MBJ, one of the best stars of our generation.
Yep.
My little steelbook here has part 1 and 2. I really like part 2. Not as good as the first one, but I really, really dug it. Have you seen any of the sequels, Jameson?
Yes. Yes. They're all relatively well for what a boxing movie is. I mean, they've kind of jumped the shark. We got fighting in Dodger Stadium. We got Stephen A. Smith involved, so it's a little different, but it's cool because they're also big Hollywood budget type films now. So you're going to add more theatrics to it, but I'm all for it.
Yeah, and it's a big budget boxing film in a time when a lot of boxing films do not get a big budget, and even if they got budget, they're not making a lot of money. Like they're not lighting up at the box office. So I don't know if the franchise will continue. I'd come back for 10 of these, honestly. I just love MBJ so much, and I don't know. Like I said, I don't want to just keep rambling because as much as I love this movie, just want to say 4 gloves from each of us.
Yep.
4 gloves. Check it out if you haven't already. And I'll go. Last thing, I promise. Man, my eyes were tearing up. Yeah, my eyes were tearing up last night watching this movie. I got to tell you, man. Even it's like the 5th or 6th time. But yeah, that's our show. Thanks so much, everybody. Jamieson, where can people find you on social media?
On Instagram at the Jamieson. Find me on there for all the news and fights and stuff like that. Can't wait going forward. Got a lot of stuff coming up before the end of the year.
Awesome. You can follow the show on Instagram, Blue Sky, and Twitter at Mixed Co Podcast. Subscribe to us on Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and Amazon Music. Leave us a 5-star review. It only takes a minute and it helps us out more than you can possibly know. Watch us on YouTube. The link is on the show notes, or find our playlist on the 19 Media Group channel. We have an official show email address. If you have any questions for the mailbag, fun stories about watching boxing and mixed company, send it all to letters@mixedcopodcast.com. And don't forget, we drop new episodes every other Thursday. So please join us again on October 23rd for Mas Fuego from the boxing world. We have been the Mixed Company Podcast, a 19 Media Group production. Thank you so much for listening, and salud.